Can Caspa be a solution for Bitcoin? Now, this is a super interesting question because it's brought up a lot. I mean, Bitcoin has a lot of its problems. It's not scalable, but has an incredible security. And it's not just security in the fundamentals and technical sense, but it's security in the social sense. Like, it's known. It's known to have the security. It has a long history of the security being proven and all that. So it's like people believe it. People trust it, even if they don't understand the fundamentals. Now, Caspa is a different story. It also shares the same fundamental technical security as Bitcoin with its proof of work, Byzantine fault tolerance, up to 49%. You know, it takes a 51% attacker of the hash rate to be able to deal damage. So Caspa has the security of Bitcoin, but it has the scalability, even more scalable than proof of stake networks. Now, that is unheard of. And it's not just that, but Caspa as proof of work has something that not even proof of stake could ever have. Now, this is something that Jonathan was mentioning, and it's a very, very interesting topic, something for another video, the use cases of proof of work that proof of stake does not have and can never have. Now, this ties into Dagnite, but back to this topic of Bitcoin. So how can Caspa be a solution for Bitcoin? It's simply by tokenizing Bitcoin on Caspa. So how is this done? This is currently done on various blockchains. For example, you could tokenize different things, like even for you can make a wrapped version of a token on another blockchain. So, but this tokenization is like, it's not maybe the solution some Bitcoin maxis are looking for, but this is something that can absolutely be done and could help Bitcoin trading and all of that. It could help provide that low cost transactions on a high speed, deep liquidity DEX, which is going to be run native on Caspa. So you're going to have the stability of Bitcoin, especially if it's a wrapped version, a tokenized version of Bitcoin, you're going to have the stability of the Bitcoin price action, which is definitely appealing to, the Bitcoin maxis out there, or not even Bitcoin maxis, but Bitcoin financial traders, people that like Bitcoin for its value of what it offers. But at the end of the day, it's like that nativeness is going to be centered around Caspa. The value of that whole exchange of money and trading of that tokenized Bitcoin is going to be on Caspa. The value is going to drive Caspa, not Bitcoin. So at the end of the day, as time continues, it's going to be like, wait a second, like, what's the whole point of this? If the whole point is just to be buying Bitcoin when the underlying solution is Caspa, the real value is going to be driving Caspa's price, in all honesty. This is something Jonathan was mentioning in the interview as well, and he basically worded it in a very similar way when Vlad asked him that question. And Jonathan was basically saying about the stability of Bitcoin and its long history and its trust and all that. I mean, that's what Vlad was even mentioning. Like, there's that whole long history of Bitcoin. But at the end of the day, when you have something like this, it's going to also require a bridge between Caspa and Bitcoin. And a bridge inherently creates friction. And that type of friction, it's like, again, once you moving an asset and you're wanting to move an asset from Bitcoin to Caspa, okay, how much value does that movement actually worth? Like, for your transaction, do you really want to keep bridging from Bitcoin to Caspa, or are you just going to keep everything on Caspa? So again, this goes back to providing even more value of the Caspa L1, the Caspa block DAG. So essentially what Jonathan was saying, this nativeness of Caspa would override the need for the predictability, for example, of Bitcoin's price, of Bitcoin's history, and where Bitcoin's going to head and the adoption of Bitcoin. The nativeness of Caspa, the underlying fundamental need, the value of the Caspa technology and what it offers with the same industry-leading security as Bitcoin, but it provides that scalability that Bitcoin is missing. It's just going to spotlight and show an underlying contrast between what Caspa provides that Bitcoin doesn't. I mean, you already see Caspa USDT. It's already trading on Kraken. This is incredible. Get your Kraken account if you haven't. Promo code in the description. Get $75. Claim it. Swap it to Caspa. You get $75 of Bitcoin and then swap it to Caspa. That's the most important step. So here it is trading on Kraken. Now, if we take a look at market cap dominance for Caspa, it's literally at all-time low, nearly all-time low. I mean, all the way with respect to basically the past 2 years or more than 2 years. The chart doesn't show it all, but this is, I mean, you literally look at it. The price is even this low. So you look at the market cap dominance with respect to the rest of the crypto market, and you realize it's much more undervalued, even compared to its recent price action from its lows. The dominance with respect to crypto is still very much at a low. So there's still like, look at this trend as it continues to go up, and it's still holding very, very well as it continues to go up. And as crypto, Ethereum hit an all-time high just earlier. So like as crypto constantly, and the BNB as well, like as crypto constantly hits all-time highs, and they're like, okay, it's not right now. It's all about like the coins that are more mainstream, the ones that are more adopted. Those are the ones getting the attention. But once those get all-time high, they're breaking all-time highs. That's where the value is then going to go into, okay, what are these like up and coming leaders? These altcoins is what they call them. And not just altcoin, but Caspa is a whole different kind of beast. It's not just an altcoin. It is the coin. It is the up and coming leader. So once value shifts, a lot of that value from the rest of the crypto market is absolutely going to come to Caspa, and it's going to power this up to like absurd heights. I think very conservative, extremely conservatively, 0.4%. And more reasonably, I think it can absolutely hit like peak bull run up to around 2.5% of the total crypto market cap. I mean, I think that could happen within the next year. Okay, so that's my estimate. This doesn't give it enough. It doesn't go high enough. But that's my estimate. I mean, even seeing something around 1% would also be extremely fair. 1% of the market cap. And you look at this. This is all-time high for Caspa. The market dominance for Caspa. This was when it was at all-time high. Like, imagine what 1% of the crypto market cap would do for Caspa's price. Okay, literally imagine. You look at it, it's going to be at $1. Like, think about it. Like 1% of the crypto market cap could easily put it at around $1 for the price. So that's just an interesting way to look at it. And again, be extremely careful with your Caspa. This Caspa EVM, I was sharing tweets earlier, like, I don't know, a week ago or so, that they emailed me asking to promote them, okay? And they said, name your price. And I'm like, all right, hold up. Cool, let me just actually get some information about, what you're trying to do. They sent me information. And I'm like, and then they said, we're releasing our pre-sale. Major red flag. What do they think? I'm like a sellout? I mentioned not only that, but like they were trying to get a pre-sale in before smart contracts launch. Like right now, I was seeing some tweets that like they're asking for literal ID, government ID, driver's license, birth certificate, passport. I'm shook. I really pray no one gave them that information, because it absolutely would be it'd be identity fraud. They would they would absolutely steal your identity, like without any hindrance, and then they could easily sell it as well. Of course, crypto reaching all-time high interest on Google by the looks of it. Okay, so not just crypto, but Caspa. I just saw, if you're checking on X, like Caspa also hit all-time high search interest on Google searches. So there is interest coming into crypto, coming into Caspa like never before. So you already know what's up. This alt season, Caspa is going to be Caspa season. Okay, currently is Bitcoin, then Ethereum, and then BNB, and then Solana, and then or XRP, all these are just like the ones that are popular, but then it's going to keep going, and then that money is going to drive into the leading upcoming tech value, which is Caspa. So people are like, I got a comment on YouTube saying, he's so regretful, and it's like, he said it's like the worst decision ever to stay in Caspa. And I'm like, man, screenshot that, because you are going to wish you took that back of where Caspa is about to head. Look at this consolidation. This is the log chart, literally flattened at this period of time, flattened. And log chart is a very interesting way to look at macro time scale, time frame. So you see this type of flattening. I mean, you already know what's going to happen. Like, I mean, look at the trend as well. Here, it's pretty obvious, pretty clear. Everything is moving upward. This is extremely healthy. Even if it dropped back down, even to some crazy low of 7.5 cents, like, it's still on trend. It would still be on its macro uptrend. I don't think that's going to happen. I absolutely don't think it's going to retest down. I think this was like basically a double test down here, and I think it's going to pump upward. A lot of room to grow, especially as crypto market cap as a whole increases, and a lot of cryptos are reaching all-time high, like the popular ones. So This is incredible, an incredible setup, and I think a lot of money is loading up heavy here, and they are. They literally are loading up tons of money at around, especially around 8.5 cents, which is a number I mentioned in my previous videos as a floor I was expecting to see when Caspa was up here, and it's held very well. So you already know. And then with Nacho doing superb as well. Like, this is the leading meme coin on Caspa, the first fair launch to meme coin on Caspa, building actual infrastructure, revenue streams. So that's just an update what's been happening and my cool thoughts on the tokenization of Bitcoin. There's some really interesting things there and a lot of topics that Yonatan discussed, and some topics I'm just going to continue like talking throughout the days, through the weeks, of things that Yonatan mentioned, because very, very interesting stuff. Like, for example, he didn't even want to launch Caspa. He did not want to. He felt like it wasn't right. The whole ecosystem, the whole crypto atmosphere at the time with proof of work, it just wasn't there for a fair launch proof of work. He was thinking like how to do it. He if he could go back, he wished he could have done it all over again, like in a way that was just smoother. Okay, because he had the DAG Labs. DAG Labs was the initial investor, basically, but DAG Labs was the investor in the underlying technology. So that's something very you have to keep in mind. So they invested in his research, in the research for whatever technology that it could develop. So DAG Labs was the ones backing the research, but then they disbanded. And what DAG Labs ended up doing is they were just a miner like anyone else in the ecosystem. They mined like something like 200 million, 250 million, or something like that coins of Caspa. They distributed it between all the people within DAG Labs and the advisors and all that, and it was very fair to between all that, and paid everyone everything and disbanded like completely. So that's what's up with the initial launch of Caspa. Of course, there was early miners, and it was extremely fair too, because at the start, anyone with a GPU could mine it, and that's something that was like allows people, everyday like home miners, to exist and be able to take advantage and like support the network and see it and be like, okay, this technology is awesome. Let me support it and let me actually get rewarded for supporting. And if you believe in it, then you hold. If you don't, you could sell and make profit off selling. So one of those early miners was even Wolfie, Kaspa hype man on Twitter, on X. So he was one of the early miners, and he saw it, back in the day, even within Discord, and he shared his thoughts on that. Christian Ludwig was even referring to that as well, about comparing the fair launch of Caspa to Bitcoin. And like Caspa, because of this initial, like, there were so many GPU miners, especially at the time of Caspa. There was a lot of GPU mining hype, especially from Ethereum when it was still proof of work. So there was still there's a lot of hype around proof of work mining. So the GPU miners, definitely, there was a lot of them in Caspa since the start. So that was a lot more fair launch compared to Bitcoin, which like nobody even knew what crypto mining was back in the day. Like, literally, so Bitcoin was a much less fair. I mean, it's different type of environment. It's like, okay, but then back in the day also, people didn't know Bitcoin was going to be worth so much, so people probably sold. So it has its pros and cons. You could weight it on both sides. There's like a balance. I can see both sides of the argument, but I do still think Caspa and Bitcoin were fair launched to a very similar extent. But yeah, on that note, I'm gonna end it there. Peace out.